What is going on, everyone? As promised, part two of our round one preview series. We talked about five guys this morning that seem to be the common guys that are going to be available at 14. But as we've seen in recent mock drafts, as we've seen some of the discussion, there are two guys routinely slipping outside of the top 10 that could very well be the gems that slide into the Ravens' lap. You go back to 2022. I can't tell you how many times over that 3 month period I got told there's no way Kyle Hamilton will be there at 14 just for Kyle Hamilton to be there at 14. Now, again, to be clear, both players that we're going to talk about, both Miami Hurricanes, could go top five or they could go at 14. And, we're not really sure, right? So I just found it interesting in the last couple of weeks just to see mocks where these guys start to slip. Is it prospect fatigue? Is there a reason? I'm not sure, but I want you guys to be prepared because, again, the Ravens have that, the reputation as a team that sits back. They don't overplay their board. They set it, they let guys fall, and then they pick and they, get applauded year after year for sitting and letting guys fall into their lap. So could it be Reuben Bain? Could it be Francis Mauigoa? Let's talk about them. Reuben Bain, obviously, what you're seeing up on your screen right now is exactly why he might fall. He did not participate in combine drills, but no doubt about it, undersized player. 6'2", 263. Weight's not a big deal, but he is short, 6'2". And the big concern is the 30 and I guess that's 7/8 inch arms. There has been no double-digit sack producer that has had under 31-inch arms in NFL history. There hasn't been a first-round edge drafted in NFL history with sub-31-inch arms. Reuben Bain is the outlier, and there is no doubt about that. That is just a fact. We knew, and it's funny because we knew going into the combine when he was going to get measured, we knew his arms were short. This wasn't a surprise. And then he does the measurements. We find out his arms are short, and then everybody gets all up in arms. And the reason that I found it so silly is because here's his production from last year. It 16 games in 2025. He had 12 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 68 hurries. He had a 23.5% pass rush win rate, dominant against the run, impacted the quarterback over and over again. Just an outstanding pass rusher. And was highly impactful. And the big thing about Reuben Bain that I don't think gets enough attention is he upped his play to a different level in the college football playoffs. So when it was crunch time, when they needed a closer, the Miami Hurricanes defense needed a closer, it was Reuben Bain that was stepping up and making those plays. Let's dive into a little bit of the film here so you guys can take a look for yourself. Put me in the bottom corner. I'm not really going to annotate this too much. I'll kind of let you guys watch. Some of the things that I see from this is obviously his speed to power conversion. You can see right there running through the left tackle. Here he's lined up against the right tackle. You're going to see once again running through. His ability to convert speed to power is absolutely outstanding. Does it routinely. There's against Notre Dame, back against Florida. Right there, you start to see a little bit of that end bedging there, or edge bending. Another one here on the right hand side of your screen. See him use a little bit of a rip to get around the corner. So showing a little bit of versatility. He's back on the left here. You can see him get around that corner, slips a little bit, or else he's right in the quarterback's kitchen. And his explosiveness, his first step off the line, is what enables that. He's so explosive that it's turning the hips of tackles. You see right there, he bends the edge so quickly that it forces the tackle to have to step up. So his ability to do that and to dictate what the tackle is doing is what allows him to convert that speed to power. You can see it right there as he comes in for the cleanup sack. He does this over and over again. Very, very twitchy player, has that combination of speed and athleticism that you just don't find, and uses his low center of gravity, quite frankly, to his advantage. Also very productive against the run. He deconstructs blocks extremely well. Again, for a guy with short arms, he doesn't really have major issues doing that. Uses leverages plays where he works himself into the right areas. You see him right there, deconstruct for the tackle for a loss down on the goal line here against Notre Dame. He's going to blow that up and actually force a fumble, keep square to the line of scrimmage. So little things like that, he does extremely well, very productive in the run game. So really has that four-down edge rusher or edge player ability, which I think the Ravens could really utilize. So it really comes down to, are you willing to take the risk of the outlier with Reuben Bain? Because there is no doubt about it that he has outlier status. We're not talking about a small deal here. We're talking about historical facts about edge rushers that just don't have sub 31 inch arms. You guys know me. I'm not an arm length truther. I've never really subscribed to that. The other player that we are going to talk about today is Francis Mauigoa. This one surprises me a little bit more. Reuben Bain is one that I could feasibly see. Again, he could go top 5. I really don't know. But I could feasibly see, because there are teams out there that have check boxes. And the reality is Reuben Bain does not check some of these check boxes that teams will have. And that's exactly what happened with Kyle Hamilton. He was the difference with Kyle Hamilton, and why it'll be tougher for Reuben Bain to fall, is safety being a devalued position. I think that made it a little harder to go off some of the outlier status. Kyle Hamilton was obviously extremely productive, extremely talented. There was never a doubt about that, but he wasn't overly fast in terms of measurement speed. And again, it was those little things that, does it really matter when you watch him play football and he's so productive and so damn skilled? Probably not. And we've kind of seen the result of that with Kyle Hamilton. I think that's what's going to happen with Reuben Bain. Him being an edge rusher might keep him, in the top 10 very firmly, even though he does have such outlier status. Francis Mauigoa is the one that surprises me. I think if he does fall, it's because a number of teams see him as an offensive guard at the next level. When you take a look at his RAS relative to tackles, it's really not too bad. 8.73 is nothing to scoff at. Shorter arms among offensive tackles. But if you converted these numbers into a guard, he would have a 9.35 RAS. So he's one of those guys where I think he could be an all-pro guard, and he might just be, a low-tier Pro Bowler offensive tackle. And that's probably okay. But teams are going to be chasing tackles in this draft. Tackle is very top-heavy, and, there's been a lot of rumors that came out in the last couple of days that you could see as many as 8 offensive tackles go in the first round, and a lot of that is because it's weaker at other positions, and the fall-off is pretty steep. So teams are going to see it as, I need to get my tackle in round 1, or I'm not going to get him at all. So if there is a run on tackles, Mauigoa could go very quickly, or teams could see him as a guard, and that might position him in place for the Ravens. And his production as well, obviously extremely solid. A little bit more pressure allowed than kind of surprised me, but it was across 557 pass block snaps, 2 sacks given up, 4 quarterback hits, 9 hurries. He is, in my opinion, a better run blocker than a pass protector at the tackle position. And you'll kind of see in the clips where he has some of his flaws. Specifically struggles a little bit with some of the speed, but he has such a stout anchor, and it really makes that projection for him inside because of how stout. That's why, you move him inside to guard. He doesn't have to worry about that as much. I think right here, you see him get hit with the spin move there. That's one of the sacks that he struggles with speed a little bit on the outside, but again, that's severely mitigated once there's the inside move, severely mitigated once he's moved inside to guard, and he has the functional strength and the physicality to do it. You're going to see his combo blocks here. His run blocking is outstanding. Watch him work into the second. You're going to see him climb here. He's going to work off that. Climb. For the running back. Again, I think it's this one where he climbs up to number 4. No, this is another one where he just turns. See how he creates that leverage in the run game? So at early in the draft, if you think his best position is inside, I think that becomes the question mark that would allow him to fall to a spot that the standing, and his projection into guard is so clean. So Francis Mauigoa, Reuben Bain, 2 guys that I'm knocking grandma over to sprint that card in. There's no doubt about it. Is it going to happen? Again, both could go top 5, but both could be, dropping outside of the top 10. We'll talk, after we make our pick tonight, we know what the Ravens are dealing with. We'll be doing a mock draft for tomorrow to kind of round out rounds 2 and 3, or rounds 2 through 7, and keep this train going. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share it with a friend. And as always, my friends, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.